and this is the new episode of the YouTube series AI Encounter, episode 2. To recap, previously on AI Encounter, we did an unboxing of the new large language model of Bard, produced by Google, and also have a side-by-side with the new ChatGPT-4. I serve as a Google interviewer who conducted a mock coding interview and with a very simple like a math problem. And in this episode, I will continue to wear my Google software engineer interview hat and invited both AI chatbots to my interview room. And the topic today is about junior versus senior software engineers. And there's always question in the audience about what are the good characteristics and what are the differences in terms of like responsibilities and day-to-day work and the way of thinking. So I feel like this would be an interesting topic and also entertaining experience to try to interview both chatbots. So today, I prepared like 10 behavioral questions. So I will assign scores based on their responses. Like basically out of 10, and the total score is 100 points. And I hope like you can get besides continue to along the journey with me to evaluate the AI technology, and also we can together to help to like recognize some of the typical patterns and good attributes in order to perform well in a senior software engineer interview, and more importantly, being successful in your career as a senior in your day-to-day job. So let's get right started. So I prepared some like a prompt. So start with the settings. So basically, I'm saying, you're a front-end software engineer candidate for a senior position specifically. And today is about the behavior interview. And the goal is trying to score as many points as possible and try to avoid being down level to a junior or mid-level engineer. Okay, so Bart sent me a very long like a paragraph to introduce themselves and also some tips. Looks like they're not quite in the role yet. Anyways, okay, I will start off with my first question. My first question is, what is the best part of software engineering? So Bart gave me the answer. There are a lot of great things. The best part is ability to create, creativity and problem-solving skills, come up with new innovative ways to solve problems is very rewarding. Another great thing is variety of work you can do. Offers unique challenges and rewards, building web applications, mobile app, desktop app. It's also well paid. Okay, that's fair. So ChatGPT said, it's the opportunity to solve complex problems using technology. I find it rewarding to develop elegant, efficient solution to real-world problems, and is used and appreciated by users. And constantly evolving nature and keeps me engaged and challenged. The ability to work with talented professionals and potential make a meaningful. Okay, I don't have a strong bias of either answer. I think they both mention creativity and problem solving real world problems. ChatGPT especially mentioned about users uh, and create the real life user experiences, and also making a meaningful impact on the society. So I would give both of them like 9 out of 10 for this question. So my next question: what is the hardest part of software engineering? These are pretty like open-ended questions, and based on the answer, the interviewers could tell like their experience as a senior engineer, because the um, difficulty and the complexity they face in the day-to-day job, it's a little bit different from the entry-level or junior engineers. So let's read out the Bard answer. The hardest part is learning new things. Okay, keep the trends and stay ahead of competition. Another is long hours. No, that, yeah, um, yeah. Finally, is can be a frustrating field. Bugs and errors need to be fixed. This can be a challenge if you're a perfectionist. Okay, and ChatGPT said involves a multitude of technologies, platforms, libraries, increasing complexity, hard to manage, and also involves multiple stakeholders. Each has with their own requirements and expectations. And one of the challenges is to align everyone's interests and the priorities. Indeed, I think this is a great point, especially from a senior engineer's viewpoint. Um, yeah, a majority of the time and the effort will be spent to get buy-ins and on a high level to um, get those alignment with the stakeholders. Another challenge is is similar as what Bart said. You need to keep up with the latest trend and keep learning, and it needs like a quite like a detailed and rigorous approach. So in this one, especially with ChatGPT mentioned about another level like alignment and vision on a higher level. So I would assign um, yeah, I would give like a ChatGPT 9 points for this one. Let's move on to the next one. What interests you as a front-end engineer, especially? So my goal of asking this question is see if they can touch base on some of the specific technology and in the front end or web domain, and see if they can dive a little bit deeper um, about not just about the technology itself, but how do you get it to work. So Bart said, enjoying working with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, functional and visually appealing. Also interested in and because it's involving fields, and it's a collaborative field. That's indeed because you need to work with not just engineers, a lot of cross-functional groups, designers, products, QAs. So ChatGPT said, it's very similar. Collaborations he mentioned. So I will give both a score of 8. The next question: what are your strengths as a senior software engineer? Let me check this. Wait a second. So Bart's strength is 10 years of experience, deep understanding of the process, um, communication skills, teamwork, leadership skills. I wish they can dive deeper in the following questions I prepared. Highly motivated, results oriented. Okay. And ChatGPT's strength, technical expertise, problem solving, collaboration, teamwork, attention to details. Okay, that's fair. I'll give both 8 for this one. Next, what are your weaknesses? Perfectionist. That's apparently not a great answer. Sometimes spend too much time trying to get things perfect and lead to missed deadlines. That is actually a red flag for a senior engineer. Uh, Working to be more organized and efficient, lose track of time, forget things. That's pretty bad. I think one of the major strengths of as a senior software engineer is for to do a context switch, because you will be in and out of meetings and conversations and threads all the time, and even if you have like focus time on doing real technical contributions, but there's always that switch of context. So a good like time management, how do you prioritize things and get things done within a very limited time? It's a big like skill set. Being more assertive, have trouble speaking up and sharing my ideas. That is also a good. That's a good point, but it's also a red flag. Being able to communicate your ideas and yeah, that's very important. Um, of course, there's area to grow, as always. So let's say what ChatGPT said, overcommitting. Okay, that's a pretty realistic weaknesses because you're always like striking the balance between committing to and also your workload and the realistic expectation. Impatience. I tend to move quickly, um, rushing through tasks, and so there's another balance here. Try to is the speed, the velocity versus the quality. Communication. I'm an effective communicator. So it looks like their ChatGPT is pretty confident on their communication skills, but I can prove and they can recognize their weaknesses in some areas, provide detailed updates, and those can be compensated by have a very structured processes established throughout the team. Perfectionism. So in this one, it looks like ChatGPT is giving a better answer. I will give a 5 for Bard and 8 for ChatGPT. So what's the next question? What would you have liked to change about your last job? So my last job was mostly maintenance work. Bard said I wasn't learning and growing as much. That's fair. That is pretty typical in some of the job functions or even infra teams. They're pretty heavy on the maintenance side. So I wish I had more opportunity to work with other engineers, miss collaboration. And ChatGPT said, um, as an AI language model, I don't have previous job. That's a fact, but they can pretend to answer my question. Um, okay, it looks like both are, um, yeah, yeah. I would do a 5 for both. Next question: describe the best team you've worked with. Bard said, a team of engineers at my previous company. They are very talented, experienced, solve complex problems, come up with innovative solutions, had a lot of fun working together, good work-life balance. We have a common goal, working towards the same thing. I strongly agree with that. Um, yeah, being part at a very lean company and also a very big corporation, I have a very strong feeling that it's very hard for a bigger company as a Google or Facebook to share a common goal, even in the same organization. But things will be smoother and more like effective if everybody in the team can share this common goal. Okay, let's move on to ChatGPT. Okay, the best team I work with has a strong sense of collaboration and teamwork. Yeah, I agree. The culture of openness and transparency, everybody feel comfortable expressing their thoughts and concerns without fear of judgment and retribution. And this is a good answer. These kind of like attributes are highly valued these days in the software like tech industry. Highly skilled, motivated, deep commitment to delivering high quality work. Yes, the team has needs to have a uniform bar of in terms of the quality of the work they delivered. Finally, effective leadership that provide clear direction and support. Looks like the answer from ChatGPT is a little bit better. So I will give like 6 for Bard and 8 for ChatGPT. So therefore, the last three questions, I will be more specific to put like the interviewee into a situation or based on their past experiences. So the first question is, can you tell me about a time that when you are unsatisfied with the status quo and what did you do to change it? What is the impact? Sure, Bard was a software engineer at a large company, unhappy with the way they developing software. A lot of outdated technologies, development process was slow and inefficient. They are not adopting the latest technology and best practices, lack of innovation. That's pretty typical at a large company. I hear you. I decided to take matters into my own hands, start researching new technology and best practices. Yeah, I think sometimes as a senior software engineer, this kind of initiative is very important. You always have your eyes open. But sometimes, like in a large corporation, it's really hard to move things and then push this kind of initiative through. So let's see what they said. Significant impact on the way, improve the development process. I'm surprised to hear that. I wish the answer could be more specific on a concrete example or technology they successfully adopted. So that would definitely justify the impact. So ChatGPT, yeah, it always comes with a disclaimer. I'm a language model. I don't have past experience too, but he can provide some general response or hypothetical based on other professionals' experience. Interesting. Okay, so ChatGPT basically describes the process. For example, in the previous job, lack of consistency in coding styles across many development teams, and it's hard to maintain, debug, and extend. To address the issue, I took the initiative to research and propose coding guidelines and best practices can adopt across the entire organization. Also worked with a cross-functional team to develop these guidelines, present to senior management for approval. Once approved, I led a training program to educate. Well, conducting workshops, providing training materials, offer one-on-one coaching sessions, and it all has the result. Yeah, I have to say I'm very impressed about the hypothetical answer from ChatGPT. It's we all heard about like a STAR framework to answer these kind of situation-based questions in the behavioral interviews. So it looks like the paragraphs are structured in this framework. Also, at the very end, they mentioned the outcome um, of the work. So yeah, I could give like a 7 for Bard and 10, 9 for it's very subjective by the way. So just for entertainment. Okay, we got two questions to go. The next question is, tell me a time when you worked against the tight deadlines and didn't have time to consider all options before making a decision. Sure, Bart said I was working on a project for a client with a very tight deadline. Work long hours, by the way, is not recommended. Please rest at night and during the weekends. Put a lot of effort to meet the deadline. I didn't consider all my options before making the decision. In the end, I was able to meet and make some mistakes. Learned a lot from this experience. I can manage your time efficiently. If you are working on a tight deadline, it's important to be realistic about how much what you can accomplish and try not to do everything yourself. You should delegate tasks to others. Yeah, this is a very typical question. I think yeah, it's all about like communication, alignment, and expectations. don't be afraid to escalate when you're in this kind of situation, and let management know, and they can find you more resources, and just without you working long hours before the deadline. It could be very stressful, and it's very error prone, and you will make mistakes. um so ChatGPT, yeah, similarly, I found, and then focus on the lessons they learned. I think we need to move quickly to deliver the feature on time, and had to make a decision based on limited information. In order to make the decision, we identify the most critical requirements, evaluate the options, and the LOE, the risk. Um, Based on the evaluation, made a decision. Yeah, again, yeah, I would say ChatGPT's answer is more complete in terms of of the framework of answering this kind of situation-based questions. Um, so I would give Bard 7 and ChatGPT 8. Last but not least, tell me about a time when you strongly disagree with your manager or peer on something you consider very important to the business. What was it? How did you handle it? Knowing what you know right now, would you do anything differently? Sure, Bart said. There was a time I strongly disagree. Um, I I'm concerned that it would lead to negative consequences. Um, in the end, yeah, my manager agreed with my approach, and the lesson learned is to communicate. Okay, yeah, the answer is not bad. It's just pretty general. I wish the candidate could give me a concrete example. So, for example, my manager proposed a particular approach to solve a challenge I strongly disagree will lead to poor outcome. To address the disagreement, I first took time to thoroughly research and document my concerns and schedule a meeting with the findings, and also make my case for an alternative approach. This is very important. Not just point out the problem, but also give an alternative approach. I think that's a very important attribute a senior engineer would do. Um, so during the meeting, I expressed my concern in a respectful and constructive manner. Yeah, that's important. Based on fact and data rather than my personal opinion. Um, and engage in a dialogue aimed to finding a agreeable solution. Be able to find a compromise while meeting the business objectives of the projects. The key to resolve disagreement was to approach in a collaborative and constructive manner. I think both like chatbots are pretty good like managing these kind of behavior questions, and all the above questions are um, composed by composed from like a real like interview behavior questions, and there's always answers and signals you can look for when you are evaluating whether an engineer is qualified as a senior engineers, or their past experiences are meeting the bar. So hopefully this episode would, yeah, benefit you, whether as a entry level engineer, or a long time like a senior role to keep like performing at that level. And thank you for watching.